Okay, we've just begun the live streaming as well. So I will mute everybody. All right, let us begin with the invocation. As always, I request all participants, please turn on the video feeds. It is much more easier to interact with all of you. It is much easier for me to also understand, and you can always raise your hand and make me pause. It's like you have a remote in the hand. So please turn on your video feeds. It would be interactive, much better that way. A richer conversation will take place. But anyways, let us begin. It is time for starting. Hari Om. सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. Yes, Hari Om. We are entering into what is the second adhyay's second part. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen? We need to establish a link so we can go ahead. Yes, please. Can anybody connect something that we have seen so far? Yes, yes, please. Deepali ji, I will just. All right. I think. Are you able to unmute now?
Yes.
Yes.
When Arjuna asked Lord Krishna to guide him properly, then Krishna told him about about four things: soul, senses, his kshatriya dharma, duty, and karma. And he described and defined all that things with examples. What is soul? What are senses? What is his kshatriya dharma or his duty?
Okay.
And karma. And if he refuses to perform his duty, he will ruin his name, and all people disrespect him. So he have to listen his eternal spirit and perform his duty first. Either he will win or lose. Don't consider about the profit and loss. Only perform the duty first. Then he turned towards karma yoga. And the last words we listen that enjoy the small things cautiously. That will lead to enjoy the karma yoga.
Okay. All right. Okay, Depalji. I think that is a very nice addition about what we saw yesterday. So it started. There was a beautiful change in the Gita where important moment was when Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, but he didn't do the full surrender. Surrender never is one moment surrender. It takes. Badrinathji, yeah, nobody's raised the hand. Okay. So surrender is not a one-step process. It is sometimes a very many steps are there. It's like physical, then emotional, then so many ahankar is there. So Arjuna at least understood that I am now in trouble. He is throwing away all his intelligence. Earlier he was quoting Shastras. He was saying Sanatan Dharma will get destroyed. So many such things he started talking about. He said, Krishna, were you greedy? This was also, it was like the savior is being blamed. But Krishna is quiet, and only when Arjuna says, Karpanya dosho pahatas swabhavaha. And you just look at this, that Arjuna is a big man, powerful man. His name is Mahabahu, another beautiful name for him, like Dhananjaya. So he's a man who is powerful. His name is Parantapa, meaning he strikes fear in others. But such a person is saying, I am afraid. What do you make of this particular aspect? Can someone tell me? Arjuna saying, I am afraid. Can we say he's a coward, or it is absolutely, we should not express our fear anytime? What is the point here in Arjuna? What do you think here? In Arjuna expressing his fear to Krishna? Or was he a coward? He was simply given so many other titles. Yes, Kulkarni ji wants to add. Yes, sir. Please unmute, ji, if you can unmute. Yes, ji. Yes, ji.
He was not coward.
Huh.
He was jumbled. What will be the result of the war.
Okay.
And he thought in that line, this will happen, that will happen, so many bad things will happen, and so on and so on. But he forgot at that time his first duty was to perform
Fight.
the war.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely, Kulkarniji. So, can we say it is not wrong to express our weakness,
Not at
or
all.
I'm afraid saying this does not make us
No.
small, isn't it? But whom we say, it's very important. If we say it to Duryodhana, it's a problem. But if we say it to somebody like Krishna, our teacher, somebody we can trust, so that is the important point. Unless you tell that, even the teacher cannot work on the Shishya. Like that, Arjuna also could not, until Arjuna told, Krishna couldn't begin. Krishna he started off immediately first talking about what death are you worried about? There is an Atman which is eternal, the undying. Nainam chinnati shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. No weapon can cut, no fire can burn, no wind can dry, no water can wet. That is the Atman. That Atman is Shashvat, it is Sanatan, it is eternal. Even when the physical body goes through these stages, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, all these are Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara. These three stages are there inside of life. But the Atman is not changing. Atman changes bodies just like we go to the mall and change our clothes or buy new clothes, something like that. That's what Krishna is telling. But Arjuna is not convinced, probably because Krishna immediately adds. Krishna wants Arjuna to start thinking in the right line because Arjuna is in the wrong direction. And Krishna is trying to send the wisdom or the direction to him in this way or the other way. Immediately he tells, even if you don't understand that the Atman is there, Krishna says it's still not right for you to become so emotional. You are a warrior. Warriors, like my friend, he's a surgeon. When he goes to surgery, he keeps his emotions away. It is a SOP for him. He's a good colorectal surgeon in the UK. But he told me, I purposely, even now, he says he's now quite senior for many years, he's been into the field. But he says, even now, I don't interact purposely with the patients too much. I just go do the formal talk, but I don't want to establish a relationship not because he doesn't care, because he cares, but he doesn't want his emotions to come in the way of his duty. So, like that, a Kshatriya understands the warrior. A warrior understands when he enters the field. This is not the place, Arjuna, for you to suddenly become emotional, because Arjuna is suddenly pretending to be Nostradamus and predicting plagues, predicting calamities, talking about Varna Sankara, all so many things he's making predictions. He does not know what happens after death, but he's talking about Pitars. He's saying Pitars will get disturbed. Future generations, he is not able to see beyond now, but he is talking about suffering of future generations. Men, women, societies, tragedies. So Krishna tells Arjuna, you know only what is you are aware of in this birth. You don't know what happened before. You have no idea what's going to happen afterwards. Then when you know only 1/3, where from you are suddenly getting the confidence? Because people always breed on insecurity and fear. When we have fear, imagine people are actually, they say we will give you great heaven. Who is going to give us heaven? Who has gone and seen that heaven is there or no? Is that building is there in the heaven? 3 BHK? Has it approved? All these questions. Who is going to see all of that? Nobody has an idea of what has happened beyond this moment. Like, I don't know what will happen to me tomorrow. I can say I want to live 100 years. I will try to take good care of my physical health and try to live. The Upanishads also tell us that we need to live for 100 years doing our karma, full lifespan. All devas, swastina indro, vruddashrava, swastina pusha, vishwavedaha, swastina tarksho arishtanemehi, swastino bruhaspatir dadatu. Give me that strength, give me that vigor, give me that intelligence, so I live a full and conscious life. That is the prayer in the Upanishads also. But Krishna is saying, see, don't attach yourself so much to this. That was the most important part. Krishna says, what are you talking about? Glory. Arjuna, people will call you coward. And he says, imagine running away from the battle. Very clearly, even though Krishna is also called Ranchod, he knows when you have to go away, take a step back from the battle also. But right now, Arjuna is attached to what? Arjuna is attached to his image. Arjuna is attached to his emotions. He is wondering, more than anything right now, he should think of all those people who are there in the battle. He should think of Draupadi. He should think of Abhimanyu. He should think of all the other people. But right now, Arjuna's own emotions have taken so much importance that he's willing to forget everybody. And Arjuna is not an ordinary person. He is like a yogi only. Nobody, if you just even look in Olympics and you see the archers, they require a lot of mental prowess to even just participate in an archery competition. And Arjuna was a best archer, meaning great concentration, great mind control. Still, he is feeling this, meaning emotions can be troublesome. We don't know. Krishna has not spoken about emotions yet, but he has told one thing. The wise are ones who can become quiet in all moments. So let us continue because Krishna tells Arjuna, because Arjuna told this is a catch-22 situation. Frying pan and fire. In the front, I have Pitama, Bhishma, and Drona. And behind me are the Pandavas. I don't see any positive outcome here. Krishna is the master. He immediately says, what you are seeing, no positive outcome. It is not a catch-22 situation. It's a win-win situation. All Krishna tells is, see here, if you win, well, the entire world will celebrate your achievement and your victory. Your dear ones, whoever are there, will be there with you. And you are fighting a just cause. So it is a great victory. But even if you lose, you will become the example. You will become the example for others, and your karma will be so beautiful that Swarga Dwara will be opened for you by your karma. Now, whether Swarga is there, Krishna is not alluring him into with the promise of some Jannat or some Swarga or something like that. Krishna is just saying your deeds are so good that you will ensure by your karma that you have done right. People will remember you because Arjuna was thinking of that. He wants a reputation. He wants to be remembered afterwards. He says, see, at least for this, remember your dharma. He says, remember your dharma. And this is what he says is the secret of Karma Yoga. Start doing your actions. Start doing your actions. If you see the sloka number 38, he says, Sukha dukhe same krutva labha labhav jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsasi. What papa you are talking about, Arjuna? Throw away all these fears and insecurities, because Arjuna was having a big list of all sins. Mitra droha, kulakshaya, swajana hatya. All one by one he kept on. Varna sankaraha. Then this will destroy the sanctity of the humanity. Sanatan dharma will get destroyed. All these papas were all covering in his, what we can say, going on inside of his head and taking a toll on him. Krishna said, see, keep a balance and work. Do without seeking profit, without seeing a loss. Just take part in this war in this manner. You will not incur any sin. You will not find any papa, is what he says. And I will now reveal, he says, that great karma of knowledge, where when you do your actions right, do it in the way of karma yoga, then Krishna says they will attract no negative consequences. That knowledge will liberate. Smallest action, protecting from greatest danger. We saw about that, isn't it? Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Meaning, little actions. You just realize when you are conscious. Smallest action can also, when you are conscious, protect you from the greatest danger. I go to factory for every day. That time I wear a helmet. This is a small action. But wearing a helmet can protect me from the greatest danger. If I don't, I cannot say, no, I will have a kavach because I am doing good punya karma, or I have done this, or I have done that, or I am memorizing, I am repeating some shloka, so that shloka will become a helmet on my head. No, karma is karma. Karma needs to be done. So, and little actions also we cannot. I think yesterday somebody, in the last class, somebody very perfectly said, we do not want, if a nurse drops a baby, it is not going to be accepted by the parents at all. It is a worst sin. It is the most maybe unknowingly done, all these factors, but that unconscious is not tolerated at all. So like that, just doing our little duties can also protect. Best example, like in the house, I think Shivaji also shared it. You lock the door at night. One person does that and he protects everybody in the family. So this is what Karma Yoga is. In a simpler way, we can say people, a lot of youngsters like to eat junk food, but they're very calorie conscious. If we eat junk food, then we'll have lots of calories. It will not help. Well, it is like that. When you do this karma, there are no karma bandhanas if you are doing it in Karma Yoga mode. Meaning it's like you can eat all the junk food and still not attract a single calorie. Something like that. The youngsters actually really like this example because there is somewhere a hidden dream. We need to find a way where you can eat all the wrong food still have no negative consequence. Well, I don't know about junk food, no dietitian will agree, but Karma Yoga is there. Karma Yoga can protect us from creating new sanskaras, from getting us trapped into more karma bandhanas. We can just go like later on in the Gita, we will see Padma Patra, a lotus leaf. If you see the water droplets, they cling onto the surface like pearls of the lotus leaf. They don't wet the leaf completely. So it's something like that. With this, we are ready to enter into the next part of the Adhyaya. And one more thing Krishna talks about is when that oneness is there, there is no divide. When your mind is quiet on the inside, you will see oneness in everywhere. Isha Upanishad talks about oneness in knowledge and ignorance also. Meaning on one end is Vidya, another end is Avidya. Beyond Vidya and Avidya is the higher truth. And the Rishis say, give me the strength. They call upon the Pushan Bhagwan in the Isha Upanishad. And they ask, invoke the divine to give them the strength for what? To recognize divinity in the world. They say, give me that yatte kalyanatamam tatte pashyami. What is brilliant in the brilliance of the world, in the most beautiful thing. If you see, Sri Aurobindo has written a beautiful poem where he talks about divinity. It is that the same hand that sent Jupiter spinning has used all its cunning to fashion a curl, meaning that same hand of the divine, which has sent the heavenly heavenly bodies to rotate. That same divine hand has taken all the intelligence to make a small curl also. It is something like that. He says, in the coy smile of a bride, in the beautiful laughter of a child, in different places where you can see divinity is something like that. So the oneness is allowing us to see everywhere what we can see in the next, the 41st shloka. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakha yanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Meaning when you are selfless, you are going to get access to a greater wisdom. If you are selfish, you are going to start dividing. You will have a bias. You will never be able to learn. The first shloka of the Gita tells us what happens when you are selfish. We indirectly create Mahabharatas to take place, as Dhritarashtra did. He never wanted his children dead. But look at what he did ultimately. Because of his insecurities, because of his selfishness, Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva. What happened to that ancient Subhashit, which was known even that time? Ayam nijaha paroveti ganna laguchetasam udara charita nastu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. This is a beautiful Vedic knowledge of oneness. Samatvam, yoga uchyate, like that in the Gita. In the Rigveda, last sukta is also sam gachadvam, sam vadadvam, samano mantra, samiti samani. Everywhere it is oneness. That oneness has to be perceived. If we are not able to see that, we are going to deny ourselves a beautiful life experience. What will happen instead? Krishna says that buddhi, which is divisive, will see everywhere divisions. It will see divisions. It's like a tree with so many branches, just breaking. No, this is this person, that person, this ideology, that ideology, this thinking, this colored dress, that colored dress. Once I made a mistake of wearing black color t-shirt for a Gita Varga. So I was told, what is this? You are wearing black colored for this. I asked him, sir, the person who had asked me, I said, sir, do you know what is this color called in Sanskrit? He said, no. I said, they call it Krishna Varna. Then he immediately said, no, this is not correct. We should not wear this. I said, all right, next time I will not wear this. If this is troubling you, our aim is to look at the Gita, not at what we are wearing. Ultimately, this will also be discarded like this t-shirt. This body is also going to be discarded sometime or the other. That's what Krishna is talking about. But mind is fixated. No, this is a color of rejection. White is the color of acceptance. But all colors are our colors only. Colors of one divine. It is just something like that. But the division is a product of some, we can say somewhere, some selfishness, some swartha, some, we will not go into the qualities right now because Krishna has not introduced, but he is just told one side type of mind sees oneness everywhere, another type of mind sees distinction and division. He goes on further. Yami Mam Push. We start now from the 42nd shloka. If anybody has any queries, you are most welcome to raise your hand. If your screen is turned off, I think you have an option also to click on reaction and you can raise your hand. There is an option there in the screen. You can just try if you want to still. There is, you can always. Let us continue. Yamimam pushpitam vacham, the 42nd shloka. Pravadantya vipashchitaha vedavadrataha partha nanyadasti iti vadinaha. With eloquence and flowery language, men orate despite limited intelligence when they narrate. Quoting the Vedas with their pseudo interpretation, they dismiss the divine origin of the world's creation. Meaning, people, it's very easy to talk. My teacher also tells me, you talk Gita Varga, you take, but that does not mean you are following. How much you are following, you have to be always alert. Because many times people are very good and eloquent in their speaking, but not in their deeds. But there are some who twist the scriptures also to suit their narratives. I think we must have come across certain preachers, isn't it? What is there in your Hinduism? Look at this particular verse of Rig Veda 15.55.66. No, how will anybody remember? There are thousands of verses. Nobody is remembering the verses by memory. Whatever they study, they try to understand the meaning. That's a very different aspect of Sanatana Dharma. But no. Yours is telling one person actually went on to try to have an engage in dialogue with me that Rig Veda is talking about wearing burqa also. I said, Namaskaram, thank you for your suggestion. We are not going to be engaging in this discussion. But that person was saying, I have shloka, I have the verse. Dineshji wants to share something. Yes, Dineshji. So I'll just unmute you. Yes. Give me a minute. Yeah, a moment. Yes, please. You can unmute now, Dineshji. Please unmute, Ji.
Hello.
Yes, Ji.
Yes. So on this context, I want to share one experience actually.
Okay.
So one of my friends once told me that there is this line that ahimsa parama dharma, but after that there is something called dharma hinsa tatthaivacha. That means
Okay.
hinsa is also dharma. But then I confirmed that this line is actually not there. That is misinterpreted, and
Okay.
people have spread on WhatsApp like that.
Yes, absolutely. So everybody has a narrative, but truth is always like if I say it is morning now, you will say something is wrong today with me. I am saying it is morning at 8:30 p.m. because 8:30 p.m. is night only. So there's a truth which is not changing. Truth that is eternal. Truth that is satya, which will not change with perspectives. But then people use things to narrate to push their narratives. That's what Krishna is talking about. Despite limited knowledge, they use scriptures. So not everybody, every time. That's best part is I think when we connect with the scriptures ourselves, an internal connection, individual connection is established, then the divine only comes to teach us. We don't have to worry about it. That connection we must establish and not rely on was what Krishna is trying to say, because even that time people would say, no, don't listen to people like Krishna. He does not, first of all, he shaves his beard. Look at all the other yogis. They're having big beards. Look at Krishna's life. I don't know what problems people might have had. But Krishna is saying it is important, despite limited intelligence, when they narrate, they quote the Vedas, excuse me, with their pseudo interpretation and dismiss the divine origin of the world's creation. As Dinesh ji has talked about, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. So that is one more second part which has been added. Well, that's for a narrative, but you have to identify which is that. Excuse me, Hariom. You have to identify which is the place that it has been told. It is so important. If you don't identify that, then people will just easily manipulate. Most of the time, people are manipulated because they are not aware. That creates a uncertainty inside of them. They're confused, and anybody else can easily put in something in a confused mind. It's easy to just, anybody can be manipulated that way. Instead, if we understand, it is made better, is what Krishna is saying, because not everybody who speaks the scripture has actually understood it. Krishna goes on, Kamat manaha swargapara janma karma palapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati. Desiring deeply the fruits of worldly wealth. Desiring deeply the fruits of worldly wealth, lustfully they seek the heavens and good birth. The ritual like their actions further merely one objective, one motive to achieve through every sacrifice a material objective. So these ones who are quoting the scriptures, what are they themselves doing? They are having desires for material objects, material wealth. They are trying to accumulate for themselves. They are also seeking heavens, like we talked about after death. There was one organization which was promising people big apartments after death. They said, you do it. This is an organization which does. And I was very surprised by the people who are involved. We'll not name the organization because we don't want to do that. But it was very strange. And there are a lot of people who also want, they're actually even in what we will say, I do not know how to call them, intelligent people. But they actually, they've transferred money because they were confident that this money will now be used for one punya karma, which will give them a big apartment. Now, if I met them, I would have like, okay, so will you allow me some place in your garden in that apartment? Which is how I would like to grow some vegetables, or where is the idea? Where is the entire concept is not there. They're not talking about lusting for wealth. And that is exactly what people are doing and aspiring for heaven. People get very, very different dreams. Some religions try to put fear. Some religions try to attract people with some phantom fruit, which may or may not be present only. That's what Krishna is talking about. Because if you see the action, look at the karma, what is being done, that is more important. Here, if the person who is talking about Vedas is still doing action which is wrong, like if I tell the best Gita shloka explanation about speech and everything, and if you watch me and I'm absolutely opposite of what I'm speaking, then it's of no use. Some Urvashi ji has said 41 and 42. Okay, I'll just quickly look at the shloka once more, but I'll just complete this shloka first and then go back to it. So, ritual like these actions, they are only, all actions are indirectly reaching towards one thing only, to accumulate more and more. When you see that, when you see the scheme of things are not working, we are also able to understand. Then you can understand probably this is not an interpretation which is a correct one. It is what we can call a pseudo interpretation of a scripture. So 41 and 42 is the same thing. I think 41 we already saw that, Urvashi, we saw that yesterday, where oneness, and it's already recorded. So maybe in the first part of the session, you can check it on YouTube. 42nd one is people use flowery language. People claim to know a lot of scriptures and use scriptures to suit their narratives. 42 and 43 are actually connected because sometimes they even quote Veda Vakya. They say this is what Veda has told. Like somebody says, no, like Dinesh ji talked about Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, Dharma Ahimsa Tathaivacha. Some people say, no, see, the second part is you must do Ahimsa. Some others say, no, Gita talks about only Ahimsa. Another person says, no, Gita does not talk about Ahimsa. Now, how do we get confused? Like sometimes even wise people, somebody has taken up principle of Ahimsa, so one person slaps me here, I will show my other cheek and let that person slap me. Is it in light of the Gita? How do we understand it? Simple, look at actions, or better look into the Gita and see yourself. Krishna will talk about Ahimsa later on in the Gita. We will see in what context. But if we look at it, Krishna indirectly, we all know what Krishna wants, isn't it? He wants Arjuna to get back into battle, do his dharma. He's saying, Uttishta Bharata, rise Bharata, get up. So let us see what he says. Krishna goes on further. So he's talking about the pseudo interpreters right now. In the 44th shloka, we'll move on. Krishna says, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam tayapa rita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhav na vidhiyate. This is the sad plight of such ones, because desire does not get fulfilled is a simple truth which everybody has probably experienced or somewhere understood to some level. Yet by nature, as if somebody has put some programming code into us, we run after desires. Whether or not we are not in control, we just run after desires. Krishna is saying here about the pseudo interpreters. He says, in the fruits of every action, their senses are held sway, meaning, I have done this, this must come in return for me. Even punya, when people do this, I need to get this in return from this punya. It's something like some divine accountancy is going on. It is said Chatragupta is the accountant. Let him do his job. Why should we go and start this punya? I have accumulated. One person told, I have accumulated so much punya, and he actually had a description of how it's like brownie points, punya points. He was keeping it. I don't know where he's going to encash it. How is it going to happen? One more person got a certificate that he's got Jivan Mukta. The organization gave a certificate of Jivan Mukta. There is a photo published of him with his, and he got Jivan Mukta on the day of his marriage. It is there in the, I got that, somebody actually showed it to us. I was shocked. Now, what will he do? How is he going to live a life now? What is he going to take part in marriage also now? How is it? So this is something where it is going wrong, where people are sometimes driven by desires, but claim to use the name of the scriptures. That is a dangerous thing. Krishna says, when in the fruits of actions, their minds, their senses are held sway, allured, these fickle minds wander away. It is like when I think we all know, we've all studied and cleared exams. That is very difficult, I think, in school, high school. You have to sit and study continuously, and we don't allow us. Sometimes friends will say, come, let's play. We have to actually turn away from them or say, no, I'm not, because we've understood the problems. If you get carried away to these desires, we will fail or will not go ahead. But somebody who is driven, whose mind is fickle, that person is not able to control his desires, so he's going to wander away. Such people whose intelligence is thus unfocused, meaning the mind is not focused. Desires are what type? Any 100 types of desires. I want a boyfriend, I want a girlfriend, I want this return of investment, I want this particular honor, I want this award, I want this teacher to tell me, I want my father to tell me, I want this, my mother should tell me this. No, I should have, my brother should talk to me this way only, or my sister should be like this. 100,000 desires are there. Krishna says, Asha Pasha Shatair Baddhaha, means 100 plus bonds bind a person who is a slave of desire. So these people who are driven by their desire, they are unfocused. And because of not being focused, they never attain contentment. And so they are always depressed, meaning even if they have everything which is good, worthy of being satisfied in life, they're not happy about it at all. Because they cannot see, their eyes are only looking at what is there in somebody else's plate, not seeing what beautiful things are there in their own place. So this is the problem. Krishna says, understand. He goes on. Traigunya Vishayat Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjana Nirdvandvo Nityasatvastho Niryogakshema Atmavan. Oh Arjuna, it is in the Vedas that the truth is contained. So Krishna is talking about why Vedas are pramanas. There is a truth in the Veda. If you want to understand it, maybe you can try learning Sanskrit slowly. Pick up one sukta, if not all the Vedas. You can, sometimes some people have connections with their gotras. If you don't have a connection with gotra, choose your gotra, choose your rishi, choose your devat. Indra, Varuna, Agni, Mitra, Vayu, Aryaman, Bhaga, Ila, Saraswati. We have 100,000. I mean, not 100,000, but there are so many to choose. Choose one sukta also. Try to connect, because Krishna is telling us there is something, a higher truth in the Vedas, which must be understood. Even one sukta can give us a great answer. Krishna is saying, the threefold qualities within man are explained. Krishna has talked about something called, if you look at the first line, Trigunya, three gunas. Please remember this word Triguna, because this will come up to the 18th adhyay. Krishna is not introducing it right now, but he's telling there are three gunas which are governing us. I think like we have in, anybody can tell me three operating systems in a computer? Anyone? Yes, you can just raise your hands. Anybody? Yes? Okay, yes, Akhilesh ji. Yeah, all right.
Uh, well, you have Windows,
Okay.
you have Mac for Apple,
Yeah,
and then you have one called Linux,
Linux,
which is
isn't
system
it?
kernels.
Absolutely. Ji, absolutely. So it's like these three. All computers, they function on these operating systems. You want to, if you want to write on a MacBook also, you can write the same document, you can write it elsewhere, but these operating systems are functional. Because of these operating systems, we are able to access the application. Something like that in the world, there are three gunas or some kind of operating systems in world which are governing us, how we behave, how we think, how we talk, how we eat, how we hear, all those, how we interpret. All these actions are somewhere governed. Krishna is telling, study the Vedas, you will be able to understand about these gunas. I'll not look at the names now because they will be introduced later on. Krishna says the threefold qualities within man are explained. The true state wherein every desire is conquered, and the net non-dual consciousness that is acquired, meaning When that desire is conquered, it is a beautiful Sanskrit subhashit also on desire. It is called Asha Yaye Dasaste Dasaha Sarvalokasya. Means, I'll complete it first. Asha Yaye Dasaste Dasaha Sarvalokasya. Asha Yasi Dasi Tesham Dasayate Loka. Meaning, a person who is a slave of desire is the slave of the world. Meaning, I have fallen for some desire. That is it. I can be manipulated by anybody. Any Tom, Dick, Harry can come and manipulate me because of my desire. That becomes my vulnerability. I can become a slave. But somebody who has overcome and conquered his desire is the master of the world. This is a very big subhashit, which is having a great implication. Means that is in Gita. Yes, Kulkarni ji wants to say something. Yes, please. Please unmute ji. You need to unmute ji. Yes, please.
One more subhashit I recollected.
Okay, sir.
आशा नाम मनुष्याणाम काचित
हाँ.
अद्भुत श्रृंखला या
काचित?
बद्धा प्रदाव आशा नाम मनुष्याणाम
हाँ.
काचित अद्भुत श्रृंखला
हाँ,
या
अद्भुत
बद्धा
श्रृंखला.
प्रदावन्ति मुक्तः तिष्ठन्ति पंगुवत्.
Absolutely. So you are free from desire and you are mukta. Liberation is that only. When otherwise you will have desires. And the problem is pursuit of desire is of no use. It is like I think in another country which is a democracy, they have right to pursuit of happiness. Sanatana Dharma tells don't go after happiness. Happiness will come to you. You run after desires. You will fulfill one desire and you will still feel thirsty for another desire. That desire will stop tasting so good. You will want to get something which will, it's like a craving. People get into a drug addiction, alcohol addiction. All of that is what? A kind of slavery only. So Krishna is saying that the Veda is talking about going beyond desire and reaching a non-dual state. What is this non-dual state? It is like in the Upanishads also. Ekameva dvitiyam brahma. Means that advitiya means divine and Narayana difference disappears is what it is said. Means God also is, and if you see later on in the Gita, Krishna is asking Arjuna to rise beyond Nara state also to go closer to Narayana. That divine means human beings can become divine. Human beings can experience some of the greatest joys of existence. That is what Krishna is talking about. He's saying that consciousness is, that is when you get this realization, we become like how Adi Shankaracharya was at such a young age. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. It is so beautiful where it's like he says na mantro na tirtham na veda na yajnam. He's saying I'm not in the Veda, not in the mantra, not in the yajna also. Then what am I? I am that. I am Shiva and Shiva is I. That realization. So Krishna is saying you go to the truth. That truth will come to you only automatically. Just raise your consciousness and receive that wisdom. Our Vedic Rishis also got it from there. Nobody realized that they got it from there. That is why foolish people, the invaders, they were butchers. But they tried to burn the books without realizing they cannot touch the source. Now you see India is growing so much. Youngsters are taking up Sanskrit so well now that maybe we'll have the fifth Veda. Pancham Veda will come. Why fifth only? Sixth, seventh. They are all children of Angiras only. Bharadwaj, Atri, all of them will again rise. Why Nalanda's fire destroyed anything? No. From that ashes like phoenix, new birth will take place, new consciousness will take place. Why? Because in this era, at least Bharata has been chosen. This is a divine game which is at play right now, where rise is now taking place and newer births, newer realizations will come. So connecting with that divine is very important, Krishna says. Next shloka, Krishna makes it very clear. Yavanartha udapane sarvataha samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Just as the usefulness of water in a well is all encompassed in a reservoir replete, so too is all the Vedic knowledge as well, known to him who has the self-realization complete. So Krishna is saying, just like all the usefulness of a water which is there in a well. Now, if I want to wash clothes, whether I take water from a well or I take it from a big reservoir, a water body, will it make a difference? It will not, isn't it? Just like if I'm thirsty, will I say, no, give me from 1 liter bottle only, don't give me water from 2 liter bottle. I need 200 ml of one glass. That much is sufficient. Whether it comes from here or whether it comes from there, it doesn't make a difference. Like that, just like that, Krishna is saying that Vedic knowledge also is known to that person who has got the self-realization complete. Meaning one person gets that awakening, he can start understanding what is there in the Vedas also. It's like just, I am thirsty, so I'll drink water from the glass where my thirst has to be fulfilled. It doesn't matter whether I get it from here or I get it from there. Like that only, we have so many realized rishis in every corner of India. Go to any random village also, you will see that in the history of that village, somebody was born, some Siddha yogi, some Siddha Rishi who has not studied the scriptures also, and yet is talking the same thing. Means Shishyas come and they say, oh, yes, yes, see, this is what was told. This is there in this particular scripture. For me, when I did not even read Kena Upanishad, my teacher had just told something, and when I opened Kena Upanishad, I found the same thing which was there. I asked him, did you read this and did you tell me from Kena Upanishad after reading this? He just laughed and he said, no, I did not read it from Kena Upanishad. This is an understanding. It was something like somebody who does not know can only know. And somebody who knows has no chance of knowing because he's already filled and his head is already full with his own ideas. He's not willing to take something new beyond his understanding. So it was a very interesting principle. So here Krishna is saying, means what we see is even the highest wisdom. Has anybody heard of this Pindite Brahmandi? This dialogue, I think in many languages, Kulkarni ji, I think it's a Marathi word, and same way we have in Telugu and Kannada also. Means in so many Indian languages, it is what is there in the small microcosm is also there in the microcosm only. The small thing is also, it's like so what you want to understand, get the prototype of a model and machine, you understand the functioning of an entire machine. You don't have to build an entire machine. I think mechanical engineers do that only. First, before they start constructing something, they develop a prototype. They give all the tests for the prototype. When it's successful, it goes there. So that is what we can understand. We don't have to feel we are so far away from the reservoir if we can gather a well. But Gita is not just a well, it is also an ocean only. So we can try. Krishna is saying Vedic wisdom can be accessed by each and every one of us. We cannot say, or we should not think I am too inferior or this is far away from me or I am not smart. If you just think that dialogue, remember Krishna tells in the Gita, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, I'll give you wisdom if you don't have. Corollary is Krishna does not want smart people. He says, those who are not smart only I'll give the wisdom. When somebody is already smart, the head is already full. What can be poured inside further? So something like that, let us see. Krishna goes on, he's introducing Arjuna to that concept of Karma Yoga. We begin. This is the beautiful trademark shloka of the Gita. Somebody who has not read the Gita also will know this shloka. And many people attribute this shloka to Lokmanya Tilak also, because they say this was a shloka written by Tilak Maharaj. But it was not written by him, it was lived by him, so people connected it. Let us see this. Karmanye vadhikaraste mam phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhurma te sango swa karmani. Krishna says, vested you are with the authority to perform, but not seek your actions' fruits in any form. You have the authority to perform your duty, but not seek the returns of your actions. Punya is done, punya is to be forgotten. Good things that you do, don't keep remembering it. Krishna is trying to tell us that you don't have that authority. Where? Krishna is not taking or he's not ordering us. He's talking about karma yoga. If you want to enter into a karma yoga, where you don't want to get trapped in new cycles of karma bandhana, you don't want to get into the same, what we can say, khichdi of experiences. Sometimes people go through relationships, breakup, relationship, breakup. Same cycle goes on and on. Then they get irritated and then start becoming like yogis because they feel enough of this. So something like that. Here, Krishna is saying, if you want to practice karma yoga, you want to enter on the path, you have the authority to perform your actions, but not the fruits. I'm taking away the fruits from you. If you are going to enter into the karma yoga, this is your first subscription. You are subscribing here. This is the first thing that is taken away from you, your fruits of actions. He goes on further. When by the fruits of actions you aren't motivated, from discharging your duties, you never get deviated. Krishna says, when you are not motivated only by the fruits of your actions, then you will never get deviated from your duties. Discharging your duties, you will never forget. sun or rain, whether somebody is watching you or not watching you, whether you are getting an increment or you're not getting an increment. Your karma is your karma, isn't it? You have to focus. Many times, because people are having desires, the bosses manipulate them, and the HR executive managers are very clever. They say, I will talk about you in the next meeting. We will talk about giving you an increment. And immediately this person starts doing, yes, sir, yes, sir. And full month, everybody start wondering, all his colleagues, what's wrong with him? Why is he doing this? But he says, no, I want to get that increment. So he's not doing the work because it's his work, because he wants to do it perfectly. He's doing it for the increment. And somebody knew that he wanted an increment, so he manipulated him very well. The meeting was never going to, there was no board meeting going to take place. But this person kept getting motivated by that. And the manager very nicely manipulated him. And when there was no increment for him, then he gets disappointed. He gets angry. Then he tells something to his manager. Then he gets a bad rating for it. So what has happened here? His karma has entirely got disturbed. In the entire month, he lost out on so many good moments. He did not spend good family time, all driven by something which was his desire. So Krishna says, simple, let go of the outcomes of your action, because anyway, you don't have the outcome of the action in your hand. It's so easy. It's like if I come with a gun to you and say, I will not allow you to pass until you give me Eiffel Tower. What will you say? You say, take Eiffel Tower, take Taj Mahal also free with it. Let me go. Because both do not belong to you. So like that, karma phala, we do not have the consequences of action. So it's not so great or so difficult that I cannot do it. Many times we have the psychology that no, I cannot do it. It's actually very easy to be done because it's never in your hand, is what Krishna says. I'll just try to share an illustration, and just give me a moment. Yes. Yes, Hari. I'll just share an illustration. Please describe what you see here. Anybody, you can just raise your hand. I'll immediately unmute. Can someone describe what is there? Yes, anybody? You could type in the chat box also. I'll be able to see, because while the screen is being shared, I'm not able to see all the screens. Anybody wants to, you can just raise your hands or put a reaction. Yes, please. Or should I just randomly call? Maybe, okay, Om Prakash ji, would you like to describe what is here? I'll just unmute you. Ji, sir. Excuse me. Hari Om. Please unmute, sir. You have to click on the unmute button. Ji.
You should focus on the goal actually, and
Okay.
he wants that perfection. Then
Okay.
only you can have your karmas.
All
So
right.
to get to the number one, you have to be focused on
Okay.
your goal.
All right. Okay, Om Prakash ji. The next, I think Anuradha ji has raised her hand. All right. You can unmute now, Anuradha ji.
Yeah, you have to do your action without worrying about what result it is. Do the
Okay.
action, total dedication, and automatically you don't have to think about what result.
Okay. All right, ji. Yes, Shivaji also can please unmute. Yes, ji.
Yeah, I think additionally, the top right hand side shows that if you think about the number one spot, then you miss your goal.
Yeah.
Because all the arrows are missing the target.
Absolutely. Okay. So that's an interesting perspective. Yes. So the pressure which is there in the head or the results, that sometimes messes with our karma only. Whether I do it right, whether I'll do it wrong, is entire. Because the example of archery is beautiful, because if anybody has watched an archery competition in online or in Olympics when they are being telecast, what you see there is these archers, they quietly, empty their thoughts. The first thing they are learned, it is like their SOP only. Every time they try to become one with the weapon, forget what target has to be scored, forget everything else, try to feel and become one with the wind, and just focus on the action. Because so many times the karma has been done. The person might have fired 1,000, 10,000 arrows in life. But at that moment, you should not think of the gold, should not think of the podium, should not also have doubts. that, oh no, what if I miss? So something like that. This is, if you see, there are two thought bubbles coming out of the head of that archer. And because if he can just cut off from it, he can do his works better. If you look at the tagline below, it says detachment yet excellence in works is only the real yoga of action. We will see later in this adhyaya only something called yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Krishna is going to tell us. Let us see. Hari Om. Krishna goes on, he says, this is the way, means mam phaleshu kadachana. Krishna is not asking too much from us. He's just asking us to give something which is not ours. Even in a relationship, you want somebody to behave in a particular way. Can you manipulate a person to behave the way you want? Is it possible? Can you manipulate anybody? I want this person to behave in a way. Yes or no? It's not possible, isn't it? You can do it for robots. You can program robots, but you cannot do that to anybody else. You have to let go. You have to let go of somebody's. Yes, Dinesh ji wants to share something. I'll just unmute you. Yes, ji. Yes, ji.
So many a times we cannot even predict our behavior.
Our own behavior. Okay. Okay. Yes, that is true. Because many times our own behavior we are not in control. Then how can we think of controlling somebody else's behavior? So this is actually a very simple aspect. Sometimes children, parents actually feel, no, this is not a right concept to be taught to children because I want them to get full marks. I want to get gold medal. So to that, such parents also, I can tell simply in our Krishna's Butter session, there was one young boy. He was going for a maths Olympiad and he attended the Krishna's Butter project very happily. After that, he came and told the teacher, ma'am, I was having this maths exam, maths Olympiad. I was suddenly getting very irritated because this question was troubling me. I was thinking I'll make a mistake. If I make a mistake, I will miss my full marks. Then I suddenly remembered Krishna and I remembered this diagram he said. And I said, okay, let it go. Krishna, do whatever you want. I will do my work. I will do my work. And that was exactly what he did. And he actually got the full marks in that particular maths exam. Meaning a topper also, he doesn't have to focus only on the result. He has to focus on doing the action right. Results will come naturally. It's like if I plant a apple tree, orange will not come out, isn't it? Apple only will come from that tree. The karma has to be done, but I should not focus on every action. No. Right now I have put this fertilizer. So no, I'm not sure it will help. So let me try one more. Let me try something else. Let me put a little more water. I want more apples. All of this will spoil everything because your action should be focused in the grounded in truth, grounded in your karma. What you are doing, that you must become conscious. And it's very possible. It is very possible. Some of the greatest ones are those who are doing their actions this way without seeking returns, because that is the best way you can fulfill a duty without being deviated. Life sometimes teaches us through hard examples. This principle only. Krishna is very easily offering to us in the Gita. Try practicing it. Friends also. Yes, it's okay. I want my friend to behave in a particular way. Behave nicely and let it do nice to your friend. But don't expect your friend to do good to you again in return or acknowledge or remember what you have done. Why are you doing it? Not because you want to get a good name, because you felt like doing it in your heart. That is your own inner calling. Otherwise, there are people. I lent you one t-shirt 70 years ago. What's the use? Teeth have fallen down. Still, we are thinking of, see, this person, I gave this and this person didn't remember it at all. Child, what good is done? Damliji, my teacher always says, Neki kar darya mein dal. Do good and it's like throwing a stone into the ocean. Throw it into the sea. You cannot recover it any time. That way, if you do, you will keep going on. It will not disturb you. Otherwise, you are going to equate your actions, which are priceless, with some outcome which is very limited compared to the origin of your action only. Krishna goes on further. He says, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tatva dhananjaya siddhayo ho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Krishna says, perform your every action in this yogic way. All attachments you must throw away. From accomplishments and loss, find your release. From accomplishments and loss, find your release. Then you shall attain the yogic poise and peace. Krishna is saying, perform all your actions, your yogic kriyas, all these things should be done in this way only. Ma phaleshu kadachina. All attachments, throw them away. From accomplishment and loss, find your release. You shall attain the highest peace, is what Krishna is saying. Whether Arjuna wants highest peace right now, we don't know. He wants only escape right now. But Krishna is telling him, this is the way. This will give you the greatest satisfaction. As if it was not enough for Arjuna by telling this. Because Arjuna is very much attached to his fruits of action about what's going to happen, what will people say. So this is all creating a trouble, and Krishna is very nicely telling him, see, Arjuna, throw this away, it's not required. You will become like a yogi, you will get the highest realization. Probably Arjuna will say, what will I do with that realization? I want to escape from this battle. I don't want that realization also right now. That's his emotional state. Let us see what he's going to say. Durena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanaman vichha kripanaha falahetavaha. Oh Arjuna, the pursuit of fruit is only base and ignoble. He says it is ignoble. Don't go running after fruits. This is yoga's essence as per the knowledgeable. Krishna is not ordering Arjuna. He is just saying, see, those who have understood the principle of yoga, these yogis, they have told that it is actually a very ignoble thing, running after your fruits of desires, running after your desires. Somebody who has never had a two-wheeler or wants a bicycle, he will entirely dream about bicycle only. Then after getting a bicycle, he'll see somebody having a motorcycle. Then somebody on a motorcycle sees a car wants a bigger one. Then while he's in that, he sees an aeroplane. And the aeroplane person traveling, he wants a chartered flight. And on a chartered flight, he says, I want to just go by walk. I want a nice happy day of going on a walk. But he's not getting that. Everybody is in that cycle of desires and nobody is realizing it. Krishna is pointing out that this is not it. Don't run after desires. It's like a dog chasing a tail. Dog will never catch it. If he just understand it's part of him, he doesn't have to feel he's going to lose his tail also. But this is the nature of Prakriti, which makes us run after. Krishna is trying to hammer a concept we have in our system only, right from childhood. We watch TVs, commercials, everything is about developing our desires, isn't it? Look at this. This is very good. We must get it. Oh, wow. Because I have this, that person has told me, wow, I want to hear 10 more wows from so many other people. So I want to buy it. I remember something I had seen on ad and I hardly had a lot of fat. But I went after my father and said, I wanted sauna belt. He gave me a big scolding at me. What do you want? No, I want it. I want it. I didn't even know what it meant. But because I saw on the TV and I saw this is good, this is going to make me fitter, I started imagining it. So many times we have these desires which are working on us. We should not. It's like our life's remote, nobody else should have. We should have the remote. We should have the control over our life's channel, not somebody. No desire should be actually driving us. Krishna is talking about, he says, pursuit of fruit is base and ignoble. This is the essence of yoga as per the knowledgeable. Seek refuge in its principles practicable. Why? Krishna is very strong. He says, because seekers of fruits of action are despicable. Krishna is clear. In the yogic path, people are looking as people who are driven by desires. They are considered lowest. They are slaves. Tuchha. But my one question is, have you heard of saints also having a name Das in their name? Ram Das, Tulsi Das. Anybody can tell me what is the logic? Are they not slaves also then? Is there a difference? Anyone or anything about this? If you can just raise your hand, or if you have the to click on the reaction, or you can just type a comment. Anybody would tell me, is it the same? Okay, Dinesh ji, yes, please. Yes, please speak, Dinesh ji.
So they are not slaves to emotions or they are indriyas, they are slaves to the divine.
Okay.
So,
isn't it the same? Surrendering ultimately. They are surrendering to desires. He is surrendering to God.
No, surrendering to God is a higher thing in the sense that they have gone to the next level to understand understand themselves better.
Okay, the servant of God is not really a servant of some human being or something like that. Yes, Shivaji wants to add to what Dinesh ji has said. Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, they are slaves to the Lord, and the difference is that they don't expect anything from the Lord in return.
Okay, so they don't expect anything from the divine in return also, and they are like rajas, isn't it? All these Tulsi Das, Kabir Das, all of them, people respect them so much because they have reached certain high states by association with the divine, by becoming a servant of the divine or das of the divine. Sri Aurobindo also says to be a servant of God is good, to be a slave is better, meaning one more step higher. They say, even Tulsidas also say, Tulsi Tulsi sab kahe, Tulsi ban ki ghas, ho gaye kripa Prabhu Ram ki, ban gaye Tulsidas. Meaning it is the kripa with the divine which starts functioning. People recognize the grace in the individual, and then that elevates the status of that individual. So on the yoga sadhana, it is the divine. They say even sadhana is done by the divine. If you see Mahalakshmi Ashtakam, Yoga Jay Yoga Sambhute, Mahalakshmim Namostute. Meaning the goddess who makes the yoga possible for an individual. Meaning for us to enter into the state of mind, to think also that yes, a life is possible without becoming a slave to desire. A life where divinity is possible, like Sri Aurobindo says, life divine. There's a beautiful photo of Dr. Abdul Kalam with a veena and reading this book, Life Divine, and he's seated on the floor only. And what was his life? It was brilliant. It was beautiful. It was a divine life which manifested so many possibilities. And that is very much possible, is what Krishna is talking about. But for that, we'll have to raise our consciousness. It's like, I want to go to Shimla, then I'll have to go to the hill station. I cannot say I will remain in a summer place and still enjoy, wear the sweater and experience the joy of wearing a sweater. If in Pondicherry, I wear sweater right now, it will be very difficult because it's too hot here. So I'll have to make some attempts to go there. So like that on Karma Yoga, when we start following, we have to practice. It's not easy. It's difficult. I myself had a very interesting experience with the Gita only. When I was taking it for translation, I had argument with Krishna. Life experience only made me come back again. Because when Krishna said Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjay, I was like, what is the use? Sangha is friends. Is Krishna asking me to go away from friends? So I'll come to that later on when we go to that shloka on the real meaning of detachment. It is not about letting people go, it's letting our desires go. We will remain connected with the world. We are not going to discard or become heartless, cold human beings. Yogis are warm. They are warm. They are sensitive. They can understand looking at a person what is going on inside of their heart also. That is what we have to try to become. Krishna also tells in the Gita, Tasmad Yogi Bhavarjuna. But right now our boss probably doesn't want to become a yogi. He just wants to run away from this battle. He says, I want to go out. Let us continue. We'll stop in this shloka. Next adhyay, Krishna is going to introduce something to Arjuna, and we'll hear Arjuna who is depressed, but we'll see a first question from Arjuna. First of many questions to come. Let us see. So we'll stop at the 50th shloka. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita dushkrite tasmad yogaya yujjasva yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. This is again like a Mahavakya of the Gita only, if we can say. Samatvam yoga uchyate. The beauty of the Gita is little words. You can actually connect them and start implementing in your life. Like that, yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Perfection in work is spirituality, is what my teacher says. Meaning, if I'm talking about something and if I'm not doing it, it's better to stop talking than do something which is wrong. Because our adhyatma is not just empty adhyatma. Our yogis of the ancient times also, they were masters of all. They had 64 vidyas. They were capable, masters of so many things. It's not, multitasking is not something new. That time they had concentration. We have, I think now also Ashtavadhani. There are so many places people are concentrating at one time, so many points, so many centers of consciousness people are able to put at one moment. So Krishna is telling that this is the way. He says, have perfection in your works. Try to reach that perfection. Don't get upset about perfection because people say perfection is harsh, perfection is difficult. Don't waste your life in perfection. What should we do? Should we try to get imperfection, or we already have plenty of imperfection with us? If we lose little bit of imperfection, we'll become happier, isn't it? We don't have to work on gathering imperfection. We have a lot of imperfection. It is like excess given to us, all human beings. So we have to let that go. That is what yoga sadhana is. So little by little, step by step. I just went a little slower on this particular concept because this will be repeated on the 18th adhyaya also. This will keep coming back again and again. The next shlokas will actually go quite faster. We will go into the 3rd adhyaya tomorrow, hopefully, or the next day. But let us conclude with shloka 50 today. Here, Krishna says, with this knowledge, in this very world itself, from good and bad actions, one can free oneself. Knowing this, engage yourself in this Karma Yoga. Detachment, yet excellence in works is only yoga. So with this knowledge, in this very birth itself, you can become free, is what Krishna is saying. We don't have to look at some heaven or some paradise which is promised for us. In this world, in this birth, you can become free, is what Krishna is saying. Understand this, engage in Karma Yoga. Detachment, yet excellence in works is only yoga. Yoga is that only yoga, karmasu kaushalam. Meaning focus on your karmas, get excellence in your karmas, what you do, you will automatically start engaging in yoga only. There's no difference between a great Muni and you if you are practicing Karma Yoga. When you are focusing, what is it? If you see, Shankaracharya has talked about yad yad karma karomi tadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Every single karma, whether he says, my nidra becomes my samadhi. We will come to the concept of samadhi is going to be introduced in a couple of shlokas. So he says, even my nidra is becoming oneness with you, is that oneness with you. And he cannot go to the temple. That was the best month. Shiva Manas Puja was best during lockdown. Everybody can go listening to that Shiva Manas Puja in their minds. They construct a temple. Inside of that, there is Veena, there's Mridanga. You're offering everything. It's all a sadhana on the inside, which is possible. Krishna is saying you can become free. I think there was one song in English, where will you run when you're scared from yourself? Has anybody heard of or watched the movie Dare You to Move? Yes? I mean, the song Dare You to Move, or in a Walk to Remember, it's about a life. It was when I was in college, of course. But the line was very interesting because I felt it is very similar to what is there in the Gita. In this world, Krishna is talking about becoming liberated here itself. Arjuna should not worry about what is going to happen in my next birth or what's going to happen after I die. Let me get killed. Let my life get over. All these questions, Krishna is throwing it away, and he says, right now, Arjuna, become free. Whether Arjuna is going to accept it, that's a second question. We will see. We will see tomorrow. With this, I conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Anybody has any queries, you are most welcome. I will... yes, I'll just conclude with the Shanti Mantra, after which we can look at some questions if anybody has any. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Hari Om Ji. Hari Om. Yes, if anybody has any queries, Deepali ji, yes, please. Namaste ji. I have just unmuted you.
Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam is the motto of IIT Kharagpur.
Oh, lovely. Is it?
Yes.
Acha. So wonderful. We have very nice mottos in a lot of our institutions. Like even AIMS has got Kalidasa's Sharira Madhyam Kalu Dharma Sadhanam. Yesterday we saw about Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita, research and analysis wing. So whether or not we know about it, our scriptures are connected, entering into us. Yes, anybody has any queries, anything you wish to share, you are welcome, or we'll call it a day.
Hello.
I have just made everybody can unmute. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, ji. Yes, ji. Yes, ji.
Hello.
Please tell me.
Badrinaran.
Yes, sir.
Badrinaran.
Yes, ji.
I could not talk to you at all. I do not know what happened.
No, actually, Badrinaran ji, there was one suggestion in the group that we will keep that mute button on. If somebody wants to raise a hand, that time we can raise. I think it was put in the group, so I tried to follow that.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
I can hear you now,
That's
sir.
right.
Please tell me.
That's right. But I was even trying to raise my hand. Probably I was unnoticed many a time. Today I could not talk at all. I could not.
Achha, there is an option, sir, in the screen. There is something called reaction. You can just click on reaction and raise hand.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Do you want to share nothing now, sir?
No, that's all. That was during
that time. At
one
that
one
moment.
thing.
Okay.
One thing I would try to recollect. That
Ji.
one thing is there. Live in the world, but let the world not live in you. Something like that. Some dialogue
Okay.
I wanted to connect.
Okay.
Connect
Okay, ji.
somewhere.
Yes, ji.
Like detachment. What is detachment? You said, na? Live in
Yes,
the
ji,
world,
yes.
but let the world not live in you. Like Janak Maharaj. Janak
Okay.
Maharaj was in a palace. but still he was
Absolutely.
quite detached.
Yes, absolutely. Very true.
want to
Janaka
say-
Raja, nice example. We don't have to become a monk who sells his Ferrari. We can be a monk in the Ferrari also, according to Sanatan Dharma.
Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
he
Yes,
was
ji.
living in the world, but still he was abstaining from all.
Yes,
forms
yes.
of-
Wealth is not bad at all. People have made a mistake of calling wealth as the source of all the good people stayed away from wealth and wealth went into wrong hands. Then Goddess Lakshmi is now in Kali Yuga in the Asuri hands. So now the good people have to become wealthy again and bring about change. So it is required, definitely. Thank you, Ji. That was a good example.
Thank you, thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, Ji. If there are no queries, I will conclude today's session. Hari Om. Adya Ji, do you want to add something? Hari Om.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that Jiva Ayurveda, the founder of Jiva Ayurveda, Dr. Pratap Chauhan, he has a school of his own. And in the logo of that school, he has written Nahi Gyanen Sadrisham
Sadrisham Pavitram
Pavityam.
Navidyate. Okay. Yes, that's a beautiful shloka, isn't it? Nothing
Yeah,
more
from the
pure than
Gita. So
knowledge.
that's just I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just
Yes.
wanted to share that.
Yes, Ji. Yes, yes, Ji. Thank you, Ji. Hari Om. Namaste. So, if there are no questions, I'll conclude. Hari Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om,
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.